Hello and welcome to another Software and Internet Monthly Market Report for the month of November, brought to you by Sanford Advisors. November was a really busy month again on the M&A side of things, with 27.3 billion of invested capital into the software space in North America, 183 transactions in the month, and the average multiple of 4.2 times. The biggest deal was McAfee, which was acquired by Advent International for 14 billion. At a 4.1 times revenue multiple. Other deals included Simple Nexus that was acquired for 1.2 billion at a 20 times revenue multiple, and a bunch of other deals were, in the hundreds of millions. So continuing the trend of really large transactions happening at a very high velocity. You can really see that on this chart, which looks at the last few years of activity. We're on track with one more month to go in the year to be nearly at 300 billion of invested capital into software transactions and 2,200 actual deals. That's a real rebound, obviously, not only on the dollar volume side of stuff from the peak that we saw in 2020, but also, and more encouragingly, especially for the mid-market, the number of transactions has increased a lot. And a lot of that is driven by the mid-market, and the mid-market is the net beneficiary, obviously, of that. One trend we've been talking about a lot is the dispersion of valuation outcomes, and you can really see that so far in the fourth quarter. The 25th percentile is averaging out at about 3.9 times revenue, whereas the 75th percentile is coming out at 19.6. So a really big spread, kind of continuing that trend that we've talked about, like those large companies that are still growing at good a pace, have great net retention metrics and etc. and in a big marketplace are really attracting premium multiples, and the subscale, low growing, not so good retention metric companies are getting a discount multiple. But obviously still a pretty healthy median multiple coming out at around 8 times across the board, which is obviously a relative peak for the last few years as well. You can really see the difference here between SaaS and non-SaaS. So the average SaaS multiple is about 8.3 times. The average non-SaaS multiple is at 4.3 times. I think, obviously the gap has broadened out dramatically from the 2020 levels where it really kind of narrowed. And to be expected given where the buyer base is really focused right now on the SaaS market. But encouragingly, non-SaaS businesses have continued to recover as well. From the low of 2.7 times in 2019, they're now at 4.3 times on average in 2021. So encouraging on that front, but also encouraging across the board in terms of the rebound in SaaS multiples, way above their 2020 levels, but also way above the 2019 pre-pandemic levels as well. You can really see the activity level here on a monthly basis. So we did 183 transactions in November. That was the third highest month over the last couple of years, which is really encouraging. We expect this trend to kind of continue with the high 100s deals per month for the next few months for sure. And well into 2022. So very encouraging in terms of the level of activity that we're seeing across the board, and something that we kind of expect to continue. On the VC side of stuff, a very similar trend, 13.8 billion invested in November, 475 transactions, average medium deal size of 5.5 million. So pretty consistent sizing of deals that there's been for the rest of the year. A few very large transactions, including Lacework at 1.3 billion and Forte at 725 million. So lots of very large deals continuing to drive that volume. You can see that again here on this chart. So we're way above the 2020 peak. The 2020 peak of 51 billion for VC deals now is trending towards being 125 billion for the year. And also encouraging again is that the deal number has really rebounded, showing that the smaller deals are really the beneficiary. On the valuation side, valuations are holding pretty steady at a peak level across the board, early, mid, and late stage. So very encouraging in terms of where the valuations are on the VC side of things as well. Anyway, if you want any more stats, our software monthly market report has a lot more detail than this, and happy to help or chat with anyone that has any questions. Have a great month, and look forward to talking to you next month.